So to me, my name is Colin Smith. As Jerry said, I've been with the LMC for almost 2 years now. I think the last time I was in a room with this many teachers, I was most likely in trouble. So hopefully things will get a little bit better today. Really, what I want to do today, we're going to get on to Northern Ireland Farm Quality Assured beef and lamb. And when I think about Easter, I'm going for lamb. So I want to explain who we are at LMC, what we do, provide a brief overview of the industry which I'm passionate about, and the Going for Growth action plan. I'll go into a little bit more detail later. Identify some of the key challenges. Glynis has gone through some of the challenges and given me an insight into your work on a daily basis. So I'd like to try and do the same from food producers' point of view, both on a global basis and locally, and then highlight how important the work that you do on our behalf, and the fact that education is vital to the success of the industry, and some of the potential challenges and a little bit of research that I've pulled out near the end. So LMC, Chancellor Livestock and Meat Commission, we were set up by statute in 1967, so we've been about a long time. We did go under a fairly substantial review, and I think 2009. So we're focusing mainly on 4 key strategic areas. Industry development, anyway, is one of our first areas, and we do fund some red meat research projects, and quite an interesting one at the minute is about whether we talked about free range hens earlier on, but what we're saying is free range cattle that are reared outside. As you know, we synthesize vitamin D through the skin, and this bit of research is looking at whether cattle are synthesizing more vitamin D, and that is ending up actually as a higher vitamin D content in the meat. So that's an example of some of the work we do in the development side. Farm assurance, I'll talk about later. Market information is really under the analysis tag there. I'll not talk too much about this, but it's really the information that we provide to farmers to be able to make intelligent business decisions about supply and demand, when they should market their animals, some examples like that. And then to education and consumer promotion, which obviously Cherry heads up. I believe that educating the consumers of the future is key to laying the foundations for a sustainable and profitable industry. We really need consumers to value the beef and lamb we produce, and to value the care and attention we put into producing it. Yeah, I sometimes feel that in Northern Ireland that when you go to order a steak, people really are more interested in how long you cremate it for, rather than maybe in how you should actually cook it. I know that the team of demonstrators are really trying to get this message that to maintain the quality of the product, because we put so much effort into producing it that we really need your help to get across how best to use that. So to me, agriculture and agri-food is an industry to be proud of. We're sitting in the Titanic building, and 102 years ago, 110 years ago, I suppose Northern Ireland was really proud of its shipbuilding industry. It was the real boom industry. Harland and Wolff outside. We're in the setting of at that time as a country we were very proud of the industry. So I think in terms of agri-food, this is an industry that we all should be proud of now. And it's maybe something we should shout about more. Everybody knew about Harland and Wolff. Everybody knew about the shipbuilding industry. Maybe it's an industry that we should really get behind and shout about. So those are the statistics there in front of you. Agri-food industry is the largest manufacturer in Northern Ireland. Employs 27,000 people in food and drink, and farming employs a further 47,000. Now, in terms of beef and lamb, because that's what LMC is all about, we have in around 18,000 beef and sheep farmers, and out of the £4 billion that the agri-food industry is worth, beef and sheep industry contribute £1 billion of that to Northern Ireland. Now, agri-food is on the up. There is a report called the Agri-Food Strategy Report, and it's a report produced both through government, all the main industry stakeholders, both government and industry, and it's really setting a plan, and I've mentioned there it's prioritised in the programme for government. It's setting a plan to grow our industry over the next number of years, and I picked out one of the targets, but there's a range of ambitious targets. The one I picked out is to grow sales by 60% to 7 billion by 2020. So people, we can see that the government is getting behind our industry, and I suppose we really need your help to get our message across as well. So I hope today that I can leave you with the feeling that Northern Ireland, we have an agri-food industry to be proud of. Proud, I suppose, because we've emerged through a very difficult recession and with a clean bill of health and want to grow. Proud because of the quality beef and lamb that we produce here, and I suppose proud of the contribution that we make to the economy here. I think what we need to do is shout about it. And hopefully with your continued support in your home economics classes, you can help us educate the consumers of the future about this industry. It's without doubt a growing industry and an ambitious industry. So I want to very quickly run through some of the challenges that we work through. That's our vision, and this is what we like to achieve: a sustainable and profitable future for the beef and sheep meat industries at all levels of the supply chain. So basically, a sustainable and profitable future right from farm to fork. So I wanted to touch very briefly on some of the challenges. We've got food security, food safety, climate change at a global level, and I suppose these are just some of them. Again, we've got food safety at a local level, and how this impacts on food production, care for the environment, sustainability and profitability, politics and legislation, and the modern consumer, which you'll be very aware of. And really a range of factors, and many of them are outside of our control, and that is a challenge in our ability to produce food in this country. I think it's I'd be correct in saying that it's fairly well established that our population is growing rapidly, if not exponentially, and I think some of the figures are that we will be growing to a population figure of in around 9 billion by 2050. So that presents us with opportunities, and that there are more mouths to feed. But I suppose there is also then more competition for the raw materials that we rely on to produce our food. So there may be positives and negatives, but it's certainly a challenge as we go forward. I picked this off Professor Chris Elliott from Queen's, and it was really a slide to show, I suppose, the complexity, the number of journeys that food and food ingredients does. Unfortunately, we're in a position we do have to import certain materials to be able to produce food. We're 95% grassland here, so the opportunity to grow certain products like wheat, soya, say for example, a lot of that is grown outside of Northern Ireland, so we must import it. And every journey that food makes, there's an element of risk when it changes hands or it transfers. So that is a challenge to our industry. Now, I hope I don't offend anybody. This isn't my washing line, by the way. It is there to serve, hopefully to serve a purpose in that climate change, some people call it global warming, some people maybe more accurately as climate change, but it is a challenge for farmers. Despite what Samuel Wilson might say, I believe that you don't have to look very far to see the effects of climate change. We've seen the devastation in England and the effect that has on food production at near hand, but say for example there's a drought in South America, we get a very important source of vegetable protein from South America to form part of our animal nutrition. Say if there was a drought, that puts a threat to the amount of protein that we can import. If we can't get that protein, or we have to pay more for it, there's certainly an impact on the cost of production for farmers here. There are a range of products, whether it be protein or maize byproducts, cereals, that we need to import to allow our industry to survive and thrive. So a little bit closer to home, what are the challenges to food producers in Northern Ireland? Well, again, they're quite similar. Food safety. I remember getting a phone call on a Sunday, I think the 8th of December in 2008. There was at that time an animal feed contamination in the south of Ireland, and unfortunately it did impact on us. And I think it cost the pig industry £12 million, and other industries were affected as well. So we have challenges here, and what LMC is about is trying to minimise these kind of risks to the industry. That one was a Dialton incident, but we don't have to look too far back. things like BSE and obviously with the Food Standards Agency as at the forefront of all of these challenges. We also have the environment. When people forgot about, I suppose, the things like foot and mouth or those, environment was very much at the forefront of their mind. From an animal physiology point of view, they're ruminants and they produce methane. I think methane is something like 14 times more potent than carbon dioxide in terms of its contribution to global warming. So we are, I suppose, always getting from our past Environment Minister was I suppose, hell-bent on setting targets for agriculture to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. Now, as LMC, and our Chief Executive Ian Stevenson is here today, Ian has been involved in various initiatives both at home and actually at a sustainability level, at a more global level, really about what the industry's response to what we can do about greenhouse gas emissions. And our position is that the easy solution for a politician is to say, well, let's just reduce livestock numbers because that reduces the problem. Our position is, well, let's keep the numbers, let's keep our industry thriving, but also to become more efficient, to produce the same amount of kilo of beef or litre of milk, but with less emissions. So LMC does a lot of work in producing the right research initiatives and representing our industry at various levels to try and meet these challenges. The average age of a farmer in Northern Ireland is basically in their late 50s, so I do believe that we need fresh blood and innovative thinking. Not to be ageist, but it's good to have a sustainable industry. I suppose we need young people to come into the industry, and I think that's also a message that you can help us deliver. But sustainability has to come. There's various elements of sustainability, and one of those is profitability. At the minute, it's all very negative, maybe, but at the minute, I think something like the cost of production for a farmer to produce a kilo of beef is in around £4.14, and this are our latest figures. Now, yesterday we put out prices of £3.20 that the farmer is getting. So you will have heard maybe about a policy called the Common Agriculture Policy, and it provides support for farmers. And despite what you think about farmers complaining, maybe sounds like I'm complaining today, it is essential for our farmers to be able to stay in business, given the figures that I've just quoted. And at the minute there's a debate about the future of this kind of support to farmers, and we're always at the mercy of our politicians in I suppose what decisions they make. I mentioned the Agri-Food Strategy Board report. They need £400 million to make that work. Now, I think at the minute there's a little bit of political game playing going on whether that money is going to be delivered. But I know that everybody and Dorothy's husband in the Farmers Union is working away to try and secure to secure that funding. But it is a challenge for us as we go forward. And then to the modern consumer. The modern consumer has less time than ever before. Price is obviously a key driver when purchasing food, and versatility is important. We try to impart through our cookery demonstrations, as you know, impart the benefits of farm quality assured beef and lamb as a nutrition and versatile food source at every demo that we do. So the work that you folks do for us is key. The consumer is key. I mean, we really have to respond to their demands, and we have to, as LMC, was trying to amend our activities to try and work with what the consumer's purchasing habits are, and we, as I say, must help industry respond to these changes. So those are all the challenges. So what are we doing? What's LMC out there in Northern Ireland? What are we doing to try and meet these challenges? Well, hopefully, I really do hope that you've seen this logo, because Jerry mentioned the promotional activity we're doing at the minute, the advertising, and obviously the ladies who come in and do the demos hold up the card. I think I have a photograph of Brace later on holding it up, but that's an element that we do to the quality assurance scheme to try and minimise risks to the supply chain, and I'll touch on that in a little minute. As I mentioned before, we do provide information for farmers to make business decisions when they sell their produce, so that they can try and increase their profits. So yeah, I mean, the work that you do is key to helping consumers make, as I see it, informed decisions. If they want a quality product, a nutritious product, beef and lamb is the way forward. And then, of course, as Jerry mentioned, our consumer focus as well. I think what we in Northern Ireland potentially need to improve on is shouting about our produce and how good it is. We had a meal last night, and we had some beautiful beef from Peter Hannon, who seems to be always winning awards down in Moira. So we do have an excellent quality produce, and LMC's role is part of LMC's role is to try and promote that. Farm quality assurance, what's it all about? The three, as we call it, three pillars of farm quality assurance: food safety, animal welfare, and care for the environment. So you can see how those pillars are designed to tie in to meet the challenges of what I've talked about. Now, the scheme itself, we have 11,000 members, so that's 11,000 farming members, and they have to comply with 84 different codes to make sure they are up to a minimum standard of production. It's not easy, but it is certainly a key attribute of the beef and lamb that we produce. Now, I'm focusing on beef and lamb. There are other quality schemes for other produce, and obviously across the water, Nicola, I'll be working with the Red Tractor team. We operate an equivalence with the Red Tractor, and that basically means that we can sell our beef into the GB market. So the Red Tractor scheme, if you've seen it, and our scheme are basically up to the same standard. So we have 99.6%, I think, of our beef is produced to these standards. So this is kind of it in a nutshell. This is I refer to the supply chain. I talked about a man called Professor Chris Elliott earlier on, and we are just about to introduce into our quality scheme what I think, and if you can believe what Chris is telling us, is a world-leading quality element to our quality assurance scheme. Those animals in the top left, as we go forward, they will only eat animal feed that has been produced to, without doubt, the highest standards in Europe. And this is because Queen's have designed a new testing regime based on a risk matrix, and it's a new initiative across Europe, and we're going to be implementing it through in conjunction with Queen's and our industry, to make sure that the animal feed, because of the dioxin incident in animal contamination that I mentioned earlier, we really had to amend our practices and increase our standard in that area. So we're going to be introducing that to make sure that consumers are reassured of how safe their food is. You'll see on the cattle there that they have ear tags. That gives them a unique identifier that we can trace that animal through, again, a world-leading system called APHIS, that Animal Public Health Information System, that basically traces that animal right from birth right through to slaughter. And again, I mean, genuinely that is unique, certainly in UK and Europe. So, you know, we have amazing tools at our disposal here, and it's really about shouting about it. So as we go through the chain there, every animal is transported in trailers that meet our standards. Every animal will be processed by businesses that meet the standards that we require, global food safety certificates, beef labelling certificates, and the Red Tractor certificate as well. And then that's all before it ends up in the Tesco shelf in this case. That's all before it comes into your classroom. So I hope you get a sense of the kind of the work that goes into producing the food that you use. And this really is the important message that I would love you to continue to help us to deliver. If you go into, I'm not a salesperson for Tesco, but this happens to be another Tesco product. This is the logo, obviously, that means when this logo is on the product, you can trust it. So this time last year, when we were concerned about the horse meat scandal, which I'm sure you couldn't have avoided, the ladies in the schools were going out, and LMC were going out, tell everybody, as far as we could, that when you see this logo, this is a product that you can trust. And we came through that incident with a clean bill of health. On to the last area that I wish to speak about, and that, to me, the education is the future. To meet our ambitious targets that I mentioned earlier, The red meat industry needs highly skilled young people enthusiastic about a career in agriculture. Some of you, I'm sure, are involved in careers at school, and I think our industry needs champions, and I think this is again where you could help us to encourage people really to think hard and long about a career in agri-food. I've mentioned how ambitious we are as an industry, and I really believe that it is an industry that young people should be encouraged to go into. I'm aware, hopefully it's still alive, of the STEM initiative, and I think it was started in 2009, and it's working to encourage links between industry and education, and not exactly that I think that we can help you with. To me, this is extremely encouraging. I'm not sure how that programme has panned out on the ground. Maybe it's something we can discuss on what you think of how that has worked. But we need to be the next Harland and Wolff. We need to be the next growth industry. So I took this off the NI curriculum website, and it's really a list of the some of the careers that you can go into in agri-food, because education is vital. And this really is a plug to you to help us present our industry. If there are pupils coming to you and saying, well, what about agri-food, that you can tell them, yes, it's an exciting career with an ambitious future. To me, farming is a science, and can only exceed if it's treated as such and run as a business. In my experience, I would have been heavily involved in trying to hang on to my youth as a young farmer in the Young Farmers Clubs of Ulster, and a lot of the young farmers I work with would rather be straight out of school and be straight onto the farm. But I think education is key, and again, we need your help to deliver. I mean, it touches on so many areas. Agriculture covers farm management, covers economics, trade on a global basis, animal physiology, food science. So as home economics teachers, I lifted this off the curriculum. So I thought I had challenges. You guys have major challenges, because not only the curriculum is asking you to develop the understanding required in the choice, planning, storage, preparation, cooking and serving of food. If that's not enough, you have to cover home and family life and independent living. My goodness. And you're coming to see us on the Saturday and listen to me speak. My goodness me. I mean, certainly you obviously have challenges and the time pressures that you're under to deliver that. So really, LMC, I mean, Sherry mentioned it, we really appreciate you allowing us into your schools, your classroom, to help deliver our messages and get across the challenges that we work with. Obviously, we're talking about beef and lamb specifically, but I think our message broadens out as well. So thank you again for letting us, I suppose, be part of that process. The next number of slides I'm going to run through very quickly, just a few slides that I thought I suppose heightened the challenges that you have to deal with in terms of the modern consumer that I mentioned earlier. The slides that I'm going to come on to are actually done by our counterparts in the south of Ireland, the Irish Food Board under Board Bay. They do research every 2 years, really extensive research in the GB market across the water, the Northern Ireland market and the Irish market as well. Now this research was done over 1,005 adults over the age of 16 in Northern Ireland. There was a 49-51 gender split, and with various ages, say over the age of 16, and various social groups. This is the challenge. Depends on if your cup is half full or half empty. 82% of the consumers in Northern Ireland could cook a simple meal. But then if we also look at it, actually Northern Ireland is maybe slightly behind the other regions in terms of the other end of the spectrum, whether they can, 15% say that they can only can cook basic snacks like beans and toast. So definitely there are challenges there. Attitudes to cooking in Northern Ireland compared to ROI and GB, 31%, almost a third of those surveyed were saying that it's a chore and something that has to be done rather than something that's passion or good fun at times. But the good news is that I should have mentioned this is 2011. The 2013 figures are just out, and I hadn't picked them up. But the good news is that the work that you're doing in terms of the trying to help with the quality and cooking and taste of food, it seems to be working, in that the attitudes to cooking are improving. This was I don't know how much you can read into this slide, but it's really a parent's perception of the children's level of interest in cooking. I'm not sure what your experiences are, but this is, I suppose, saying that almost a third of children nowadays are less interested in cooking compared to the previous generation. Be interesting maybe to hear your views on that and what you feel in your classrooms. This is just a touch I mentioned about the modern consumer having very maybe not much time. It seems to be maybe in Northern Ireland that we're more often likely to eat convenience meals. But I suppose it's great to see this slide in that I talked about the quality of methods of production and the quality of food we produce in Northern Ireland, quality and taste, and I guess taste and how to properly cook meals and food is obviously still very important to people who prepare food in the home. So, I think that's a positive message there. Because I've been speaking about Northern Ireland farm quality assured beef and lamb, it's great to see. I suppose there's many statistics, but if you look along the bottom, the mean score, if you look at under the Northern Ireland, we're going from 3.1 to 3.7 in 2011. Hopefully, when we started our promotional work again in how long have I been in LMC? 2012. Hopefully that has increased again. I just wanted to outline maybe some of that research, some of the challenges that we all face, and some of what we're trying to work towards. There are a variety of challenges for food producers, but also, as we've seen, for home economics teachers in the 21st century. And there are factors both globally and locally that impact those. I hope that I've got across to you some of the small part that LMC is playing. Sorry, not small part, a very important part. I'll be getting reprimanded soon. A very important part that LMC is playing in minimising the risk. But education, we're a growing industry. Education is vital. Getting new blood into the industry is vital. And really, we hope that you can help us deliver that message. We're committed to the education. We went through the review. We've come out with education and promotion being one of our key areas. So we're committed to the education portfolio. It's really assisting with the education of young people about the safe, wholesome food that we produce here. I think consumers demand food that is safe, wholesome, nutritious, and produced to the highest standards. And I believe that is exactly what our local beef and sheep industry delivers. But we do need your help. I've seen the challenge that you have, but I hope we can continue to work together, both in partnership with yourselves, and provide you with the resources, the tools to help you help us. So, thank you very much for your time.